The PK podcast. It's the PK podcast.
Someone is in a good mood.
Yeah, the name of Jesus. What it do? What it do? What it do?
Hi, people of God. We hope everyone is doing well. We know you've missed us. We've been gone for some few weeks.
Life is life, and adulthood is not
It's
for
not
the weak.
easy. Unimsa, I called my parents the other day. I was like, adulthood. Mm-mm. I did not plan for all of this. And I was just asking them how they did it. But grace abounds.
They are still doing it. I
Yes.
feel they are rapping. Me hunya before.
So that's not the lyrics.
Yes, I
Is that what you said?
yeah, only my bread.
All right, what's up? What do we have for the people today?
Anyways, boys and girls, aunties and uncles, mummies and daddies, today your humble servants are here again with the PK podcast. We have a special guest in our midst. One
Yes.
of, we gotta say, Princess
Ghana's treasure. She's like a
Treasure.
treasure to Ghana. Yeah.
Victoria, my niece, Victoria, because I Singalela.
Ghana's Cinderella. Pentecost Cinderella.
Uh-huh.
Really? Yeah.
Period. So we have in our midst today a wonderful lady, a proud PK, somebody who has been unleashed and is and the team almost to say.
You're putting me on the spot by Chain. Stop! Why did you do this? And then never you. Yeah. Ready. Why are we embarrassing ourselves? Oh no, I guess no. When our guest comes, we'll ask her what the theme is. She should unveil it for us.
Unveil it for her because she has been unleashed. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, without further ado, let us welcome Mrs. Benedicta Sarfoa as Boahene.
Yeah. The name has changed.
I almost mentioned your
maybe you had a good laugh.
maiden name. Well, she is Ghana's
so much. I appreciate
winner.
This. And you had a good laugh.
So, sis, we want to welcome you to our platform. We've talked so much about having you, but we know your schedule is busy. You're out there, you've been unleashed, and you're transforming your world. So we're honestly very, very grateful that you could show up. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be on your show, and it's not just a pleasure. I think it's a privilege. This is my second time, if I'm correct, and I'm so excited because this is where you find all the vibe together with the Christian, principles. And also for me, I'm excited and I'm happy. And thanks to you for bringing me on board. And a big hello and good morning or good evening, afternoon to all your viewers across the world. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. The love is real, guys. No, So, I mean, I know most people know you from Ghana's Most Beautiful, but I don't think people know you as a PK. So we want you to just give a brief introduction, introduce yourself to our audience. Some may know you, some may not. Growing up, your parents were obviously in the Church of Pentecost, at least we know that, but just give us a little bit about the PK life for you, the beginnings of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ohima and Dave. So I will just start with my name, even though my name has already been introduced, Benedicta Sarfoa. As someone initially, but now is Boahene. So you just call me Sarfoa Boahene for short. I hail from the Ashanti region in Ghana, particularly Adamsia Crochere. So it's also in the Ashanti region. And growing up, I lived with my dad, my mom, and my grandparents. At a point, some people in the church, because the life of PK is a whole lot of things actually. Because I remember we were born and bred when my dad and mom had started the ministry, and so I remember their first station, which was in Nipom, Mipom is in Asamankese, and so the place was not developed. It was very, very underdeveloped as at that time, and that was where I was born. But we loved it because the love there was massive. But it wasn't easy because at a point, education was a bit of a problem. You know, most of the challenges that underdeveloped places or regions face is one, education. And so I was growing up, I think, past KG class one or something. But if you ask me anything in English, it was difficult for me to respond to you in English. And so I remember one funny incident that my grandparents were outside the country and they came back to look for us and, say hi. So they're like, oh, hi, beautiful lady, how are you? And I'm like, maybe I'm into brofu. I was so confident enough to say that. Can you imagine? And so they realized that there was a problem. Charlie Abro, we love you. So we were 3 years at that time. My elder brother, myself, so I'm the second born. We are six, but as at that time we were three. My elder brother, myself, and my little sister. And so they were like, no, tempestuously, this must change. We have to move to Kumasi. That was where they were, but they were transiting back and forth from Ghana, then Italy, and other parts of the country. So they weren't always there. But they were like, we have to compromise. Let's go to school in Kumasi, a private institution, have all the time, learn and spend more time in education because it's important. Probably they knew our future was going to be like this. And so my dad and mom agreed, and then we all moved to Kumasi. So that was where life really started for me, probably after that. And it was a bit of a challenge, especially trying to, change your whole setting. You have grown to know a particular thing and now you have to change it so quickly, education wise, meeting new people, speaking in a different language, speaking English, that's what they want to where they can't, that's how are you going to manage. But I think through it all, we were able to maneuver. I remember I was the poorest when it came to when it came to school and learning. My little sister, my elder brother, they were first, third. But I think gradually I picked up, and somebody underperforming so much. Dave, me if you was but me if you somebody somebody was underperforming. Okay, what's it say? What's my day?
Think of you.
True.
That was Ben. That was Ben.
That was there. You are the boss lady now. You are the boss lady now.
Thank you. It's been years some time, Then I was now even teaching my colleagues because I had now come to understand certain things about me, the nature of the education system we have in the country, and then how you can prepare yourself as such. So maybe that's a little bit. And Sunday school, it was a big thing for me during our time spent in Kumasi. We were, my grandparents were elders of the church. My granny was a deaconess. My grandfather cried already a pioneer of one of the districts, now an area in Italy and some other parts of the country. So as now already where we see anymore. So we were very vibrant in Sunday school. I remember the quizzes, carry your swords, all night, half nights that we were having, all of it. So we were so known all over the place. We were assuming certain positions. So I realized I was doing very well at Sunday school, preaching, carrying your sword. I was always being the first and saying memory verses off head. I was always doing well. But my school, just a minute, so I think eventually that really propelled me to gain more confidence.
No, Tona, were you first?
Gain more confidence.
No, were you first?
Me. Share the whole. I shall
Oh boy. Oh boy. Because of you, I will do a show like this. You in particular, and know exactly how your childhood was.
Don't worry.
But yeah, I think those
are coming to make a parallelogram.
And then Namakado. So I think those were some of the highlights. Yes, highlighting during my childhood and being a PK. It really wasn't easy, especially not having your parents around. So there were times that you really needed some attention. You needed that father, that mother that you have grown to know, but they were not there. And we understood over the period, because now we know that we were sharing them with God Almighty. And when it happens like that, you can't do anything about it. And I tell you for a fact, if I'm to relive this life, I'll relive as a PK again, because most of the things that happen to us, most of the favors and the grace we are enjoying today is as a result of the sacrifices our parents made in the past and are still making.
Yeah.
And I bless God that I found myself in such a family. Yeah. So that's something little about it. There are a lot. But I want to talk.
Wait, so what school did you go to in Kumasi?
In Kumasi was St. Louis Jubilee. It's a private Catholic school, St. Louis Jubilee. The best school in Ashanti region as at now. That's around Odium. That's at Odium.
Oh, Odium Diano.
Yes, Odium Diano. Correct, pa.
I'm out for PPS.
Yeah, but my sisters and my brothers later on went to PPS. That time, I think PPS had not started. I think so. When we were in Mipum that time, Menka said that was around 1997, 1998, thereabout. So, because maybe it was there, PPS was there, but I didn't know much about it. So it was later 2000s, and then my sisters and my brothers, other siblings, went to PPS. But I didn't enter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Hey, and okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, Auntie, I don't even know whether I should continue in English or in Tree. Anyways, well, it looks like you had a very very fun or involving childhood, like from Nimpom to Kumasi, your grandparents,
like
Mimpom.
Mimpom.
Oh, inside the mountains.
Yes. Inside the mountains.
Hey,
exactly. So you can imagine such a name.
Boya Makio map.
You could see us on Yankasa.
Yeah. So where you are right now, right? What are some of the things that shaped you in becoming the person that you are? Because looking from what you're saying, from somebody who was not really apt with education, was not really, that cool kid or whatever. But now look at where you are. You are Ghana's most beautiful winner. You work in the prestigious media firm, and you're doing great. What are some of the things that shaped you to be where you are right now?
All right, thank you for this question. I think earlier on when I was talking about my highlights, my childhood highlights, I mentioned how vibrant we were in Sunday school and assuming certain positions even at a very tender age. I think that has been my stronghold right from beginning, because up till now, I can tell you for a fact, there are some quotations we learnt off head. We think, at that time, we thought we were just having fun. But see, these quotations, I have lived life with them. And I become anxious, and then that particular quotation pops up, and then I'm able I just say it, and then I'm like, God is good. A typical one is 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13, and that of Acts chapter 1 verse 8, that of head I can just mention a number of them. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 1, he who created you, Jacob, he who formed you, Israel, fear not, have been with you, have summoned you by name, you are mine. When you pass through the waters, I'll be with you. When you walk through the fires, you will not be burnt. When you walk through the waters, it will not sweep over you. I mean, I was like, these are some of the things that I appreciate so much in my life, that right from beginning, even though it may not have been a very strong start for some people, but eventually it consolidated my living, and then it has made me that person. So Sunday school, one of my highlights. And I remember one of my Sunday school teachers, later on in life, I met him, And he's like, hey, I'm like, oh, sir, God bless you, because the trainings that you gave to us, it really shaped us. And throughout my life, from primary, JHS, SHS, university, I assumed leadership roles, church, of course. So primary, I became the compound prefect. So even though I wasn't good when it came to school and maths and then Sarfoa, but they saw that leadership quality in me, even though I have not even seen it myself. And so now me boom, one boom. Yeah, I say, Anna, how what are they seeing? Maybe on my will be running away, and the students themselves will push me into it. So primary, I became the compound prefect. JHS, I became the chapel prefect. SHS, I became the chapel prefect. Even that was between school prefect, chapel prefect, and house prefect. All the people they wanted, the leaders wanted me to be in their terrain. So I chose chapel prefect because, of course, also for. And then in university, which is University of Ghana, I became a branch coordinator at Pensa. And so, and I think Sunday school is my foundation. The church has been my foundation. The principles we learned over the years, the quotations we imbibed in ourselves, we thought we were having fun, but eventually they were like a band in our hearts, and it could not just let us go. So there are times that you meet people, you certain circumstances happen, and then you begin to question God, you begin to question your very living, and these quotations pop up, and then they strengthen the relationship you have with God. So for me, the highlight and the basic for me has been Sunday school, and then God in His infinite wisdom was putting me in certain positions to always show me how close I have to be with Him, so that I'll be able to go about my duties. Like I said, I wasn't a good student, but I still assumed these roles, these leadership roles. And over the years, I was building public speaking. I didn't even know, because I could effortlessly stand in front of hundreds and thousands of people, especially SHS, Santa Girls Senior High School. That time we came to meet the Form 4, the Form 4s. So it was Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, and I was in 100. Form 1 by then, Form 1. I was in Form 1 by then. They would just call me to come and preach. And you see thousands of students there, some elderly, some young, those who even punished you could see their faces, yet you are standing there fearlessly sharing the gospel and even winning souls for Christ, sharing visions. And I didn't understand that time, but eventually I got to know that was what we were called to do. And so even the time that we have not known our passion and our purpose in life is still manifested, so that when we know, we'll be able to connect the dots and then understand even better. So that has been it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Building up off of that, while you were in school, while you were young, let me say, what was it that you wanted to be when you grew up? What was your passion? Yeah.
Ohima, I wanted to be a lot of things, and it's funny how and interesting how I've ended up being a journalist now. Hey, not strong doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. So maybe my maths name is science and can like in good years we say, be a doctor.
By force.
I remember I told my grandparents almost, yo, like when they travel, what do you want us to buy for you when we come back to spend Christmas and all of that? I'm like, oh, I need a stethoscope because I'm going to be a doctor. So for them, they really believed in it, and they bought me a stethoscope and all of the equipment, this doctor's equipment things. Charlie, me who baby created that. But also at some point in my life, then I remembered my dad used to buy Bibles for us most of the times when they get the chance to come and visit us and go. And I really appreciate them, Reverend Victor, Apostle Victor Kusia Samoa, and my mom, Mrs. Rebecca Samoa. They've been our stronghold. Like, I really appreciate them, because even that time when they didn't have the means and the time and the resources, they were still making sure that their eyes were on us so that we did not misbehave. They will come all the way and come to Kumasi and ask what is going on, how is it? And now that I'm an adult, I understand, because there was little that they could do at that time. But I really appreciate even the little they did. So, or taught Bibles, new Bibles for us. And then I remember my little sister and myself would sit on the bed, we use the compass, our compass in the masset now. We put the pencil in it, and then we screw to draw circles. We will pierce it in the mattress, and then we will lift the part where the pencil is and we make it look like a microphone, and then we start reading the Bible from Genesis. So every day, and it was fun. We so we didn't know, say, oh, we have to read the Bible as Christians and all. But once again, from Sunday school, we knew that we were supposed to read the Bible, and so we were reading it. And they're like, "Hello, my name is Benedicta Sarfoa Boahene, and I have my sister, my colleague here, Dr. Sasamwa," and then we will start reading the Bible like we are casting the news. And today, after so many years, I am a journalist and a newscaster as well.
Yeah, did my Jesus. Really? Where the after CP woman as of for when I'm here.
Yes.
We are not the Becca.
You know, I wanted to ask her, so Usano, did she want to be an Osofumame? But I think we have our answer. No, I don't have plans, no.
Never. Hey, but I got it. I'm so one of our friends, but I grew up with your man empire.
Oh, a beba. Oh, come.
We have chosen one sibling, one from the female side and one from the male side, to be the pastors and the asafomamis for us. So we have our representatives already.
That is a woody who chilo about you.
Wait, no, no, hold on. Say and the team now a buyer, no. What is it? Unleashed to live a life worthy of
copy work.
Emma, let us understand, so we don't need to be in ministry with a collar and weight. Baby, I one in our workplaces and everything. We are ministers and ministers' wives there. Yes. She's
and we're already possessing the nations, no matter where we find ourselves. Thank you.
That's true. I have a question though. So, going into Ghana's Most Beautiful, right? And how was it like, right? Did you get any backlash? Because obviously, quote unquote, for lack of a better explanation or term, right? Typically, Christians are not seen in the pageantry business, in even in media, in let's say movie industry, the entertainment industry. So when you decided to go and venture into the pageant thing, what was the conversation like between your parents, and what were the other, conversations from other people, church members, all that, especially that you were PK? What was it like? Did you get any backlashes and stuff like that?
I like how you ended it, that especially when you were a PK, because especially when you are a pastor's kid or a pastor's daughter, the standard is already set for you. And so there are some places you can't go automatically. There are some things you can't say. There are some people you can't even move with. But for me, I just felt this was something I had to do. And it just came to me because I remember in 2016, Ghana's Most Beautiful wasn't the first pageantry I had gone. I had auditioned for Miss Malaika, but it was later when I got into it, passing the first audition, going into the second, and then I felt this really wasn't the time for me and the place to be. And so even though I spoke to my mom about it, for my mom, she supported me so much. And my dad, for him, he is a prayer guru, the prayer person. He's like, I really don't get why you want to do things like this, but I know you. I know and I believe the principles that we have instilled in you. And I know that you're a daughter of God from your track record. We've not seen you to be a recalcitrant or a notorious person. And so if you indeed want to do something, we will just pray with you and make sure that whatever thing God has sent you to do, you'll be able to do. Actually, he said that during the GMB time. So the 2016 one that I talked about, I just felt that wasn't the place for me. And God made it so. So I didn't even pass. And he told me, and I'm like, hey, it's all that stubbornness, but I let that slide. And I'm like, probably you're preparing me for a better or a right time. Let me make a right time. And so I had it up at the back of my mind, but I just kept on living my life. And so 2021, fast forward, I just felt strongly that this was the time. And people, friends around me, ministers, they kept reminding me, have you heard of God is Most Beautiful? I think it's something that you can take it up because you are good, you are eloquent, you are this, you are that. And I get shocked. I'm like, okay, so it looks like this is a confirmation. This is coming from God. Because it wasn't just ordinary people, friends that I used to pray with, friends that I used to minister with. I used to sing at that time too, especially one guy, Joshua. I really appreciate him so much. He's a Nigerian, but he plays a guitar. He sings so beautifully. We would just do this prayer in the afternoons and evenings and afternoons, and then we used to minister. And so when that time, I just felt strongly that this was it for me. I consulted my dad and my mom. For my dad, he wasn't for it in the first place, so he also told me that he would also consult. But he asked me, why do I want to go? Why this? Why that? I told him I had done all my research. I had read, I had done this, I had done that, but I felt this was a place where I had to be. And then he gave me that advice. So later he consulted chairman, he consulted some leaders, and especially I loved what chairman said. That time it was the possessing the nation's agenda. We were very big on it. It was the start in 2021. And so he was like possessing the nations there. It will be any baby I would befa. That was I'm just quoting what my dad told me. And you know, say a honor or see or pese or the far. Mama and vampire and tiny cheat near just say, dear, what's the way in which me I. So if so let me just translate just for the purpose of those some viewers who may not be privy to tree. So it was like if possessing for the possessing the nation's agenda, everyone has where they are going to be unleashed to do what they have to do. So if this is where she claims and she sees that the Lord wants her to be, we should allow her, pray with her, and then pray for success so that she succeeds in everything that she does. That alone was a big, it was like the final straw that gave me that strength I needed, because my mentors, I had some mentors at work, some places that I consulted, and for them they were totally against it. So they shut me down. I felt like it looks like that wasn't where I was supposed to be, even though I had heard and knew in my heart that this was the time. But when chairman's story came in and then my dad also confirmed, I was like, no, then this means I have to do this because it's this year or I don't know when. And then God just aligned things for me going to work. At that time I was on probation because it was a new work that I had assumed, and it was going to be very difficult to even get a day off within the week for an audition. And your boss does not even understand how you are going in the first place. So you can imagine how difficult that is going to be. And I had to go all the way to Kumasi for the auditions as at that time. And so it was just practically impossible, even though I had the desire. But because I made up my mind that I was going to do, and I felt that was what God wanted me to do at that time, He just made the way for me. Maybe it's going to be a bit long if I tell you the incidents that happened for me to get that small window of opportunity to have the auditions. And then things just fell in pleasant places and remind me of what scripture says. He said, all things will work together for the good of them that love God. And so it was just working. I'm like, God, this is you. Then I know this is you. You are behind this and you really want me to do this, to change the status quo, to change the statement, to make a statement and lasting impression. And I'm happy because every time I now engage with some people who come to me freely to tell me that they want to partake in pageantry, now I know there is a paradigm shift. Now they talk to me in a different, in a different tone as per how it used to be back then. And the focus was being a slay queen, and then having certain parts of the body shaped to fit that place. I felt now the purpose had changed, and I just thank God for that. So that was it.
Wow. You have really modeled that Christians can also be in pageantry and do it really well, right?
Modestly and everything.
Modest.
Yeah,
It's very important because
absolutely.
it's hard. It's hard. It's hard, especially in the world that Christians can go into the sphere of the world and try to transform it and change it. And it looks like something that you did and did very well. Do you want to share some of, you in the house and all those kind of things?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about a time where you stood for godly principles, godly values that, okay, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, but you said, no, this is
That was
not
gonna
what
be my question.
this
Was there ever a time where your faith was challenged, your values and everything were challenged? Did you almost compromise? Did you not? How did you maneuver through that time period?
Well, whilst you were asking the question, I was just going through the archives of my mind to remember maybe a particular incident, and it was very obvious. It was all over the net. People were insulting me here and there because that time. But I think it was good for me because even before going into pageantry, I did my research, and so I knew Ghana's Most Beautiful was a very decent place to start off the possessing
Yeah.
the nation's agenda. So I didn't want to bite more than I could chew, but start off from a point where I know I will be welcomed in a subtle way. And so God being so good, the chaperone there too was a great person in terms of waking up at dawn, praying together as a team. I mean, it just set the pace for me. But there were times that in terms of the attire for some shoots, you're supposed to wear a particular dress. I compromised on so many things. For that, I stood my grounds and I'm like, hey, I'm standing up for decency. So if you want to take that away from me, then what am I actually standing up for? And so at a point, I remember even after GMB or wearing the crown, people used to just, should I say, insult, harsh words, let me say, criticize my dressing. That is to your, who is this? As of for managers, I mean, they used to make certain silly comments about my dresses, how I dressed and all. Probably that time too, I was trying to understand the industry a bit more to see how I could add a bit of class to it because you can be classy and still decent. So
Hmm.
that was the statement. Eventually, I got there, and now I'm happy everywhere I go. People and under my comments, in like for the post that I make on social media under the comment section, people always retweet that, oh, decency with class, and I'm glad I've been able to achieve that. But beginning, it wasn't too easy at that time because it's like that is the industry. You have to show some boobs, you have to show some bomb bomb and all of that. But I was like, no, it ain't gonna happen because my dad alone said there was no one hiding in the air. Even my dad and my mom, everyone is watching me. I don't want to make a mistake. That's why Rebecca say Kai.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was really conscious of that. And even aside that, the fact that I was standing up for something as a Christian who is going to a place like that. So it made me, I didn't want to disgrace God. And I kept on one of my prayers that I was making throughout the house was like, God, I want to give you a reason to entrust this crown to me. I want to give you a reason to entrust this crown, which was the Ghana's most beautiful crown, to me. And I'm happy that it came to me because then I know I gave him a reason and he trusted me. Charlie, it takes a lot for God to trust you. And so for that alone, I feel so fly that God trusts me. And I'm happy about that. So, I mean, there were times that it wasn't really easy, especially with makeup, even with the makeup. I remember my grandfather, especially, he is Dudu Obibi Edunum Jiabo. A big shout out to him. He was like, Mommy, you don't have to do this or say Aisha don't know crying man. And I said, well, but these places you can't say that you cannot do it. But
You
he's like,
can't
oh,
do
do it subtly, do it small, do it just say it was a lot of things. But I also grew up to understand where he was coming from. And truthfully, natural beauty, is the ultimate beauty. And so these were some few things that was difficult at a point. You have to compromise because you also try to understand from their end. But I made a statement. All amongst all the ladies, they knew me to be the Pentecost girl. So they're like, hey, Pentecost accolade. They used to tag me like that, and I proudly accepted it. They were always Pentecost accolade, Pentecost bay, and I was happy that I was known for that, and I pride myself in that. Yes.
Well, you really made us proud, and I did want to speak on the fact that I think towards the end of Ghana's Most Beautiful, that's when I tuned in personally. It was beautiful to see even your family supporting you, like the way even your father championed and like prayers and support. I felt like it was beautiful. So I just wanted to highlight that. And um, in terms of this Ghana Most Beautiful talk, in a way you've become an influencer, you've become a role model to others, and so I want you to kind of give a word of advice to maybe other PKs, other girls who are coming up who believe in decency and modesty but don't know how to manage it. Hold on, let me backtrack. I want to phrase my question well. We have people who want to be content creators, they want to be influencers online. What is your advice to them as children of God, as PKs, maybe coming from a certain background? What advice would you give such people?
I will just start off by saying, I mean, in this 21st century, it's like influencing has become a thing. Some few years ago, it wasn't like that. And I understand it's because now the world is becoming a global village and we all can converge on a particular platform, which is social media. And so it has made it highly imperative for us to have influencers and celebrities and people to influence our kind of lifestyle. And so you cannot see that when you go to the internet or you go to social media, you meet all kinds of influencers. And it's sad because sometimes you look at the standard of what it takes for someone to be an influencer, what it takes for someone to be a celebrity, somebody to be celebrated. And you realize that there are a lot of people who do not deserve that name. But once again, they are influencers because they are influencing something for someone. And so there's something may not necessarily be good, it can be bad, it can be good. So you should carve your niche at a point and a place where you want to be. And as a Christian, always coming from a Christian perspective, you know your principles and you know what works for you. For me, whenever I am accepting any ambassadorial deal, I make sure that I outline these things for them. If it's anything that has to do with alcohol, anything, I'm not interested. If it's like an alcoholic beverage, I mean, if it's anything that I have to show this, I have to show that, you can go through my page. I don't do that. And so that is out. If I tell you all of these things and you still want me to do it, then fine, you've passed. But if not, I'm sorry, you can find another person. But how I wish that we'll get to a place where Christians will take over the influencing job, such that we influence people onto Christ. We use that as another possessing the nation's agenda to be able to push people to know Christ, to push people to understand Christianity. Because a lot of people call themselves Christians, but you really look at their lifestyle and you realize that they really have no knowledge about what Christianity is and can be. And it has even made the work even more difficult for some of us who are also trying in our small ways to bring people more to Christ. Because they're like, look at this girl. What's your class? Sorry, look at this boy. What's your class? Sorry, he's a Christian. But I'm not really seeing anything. They are literally living the life that I'm living. So what's the difference? And so for me, I'll say, and we are the youth too. Like most of the times, the youth are the ones doing this. And it's beautiful, of course. We don't have to bring it to a stop. But let's define who we are and let us see who we are in our influencing. It is not two different things. It's still the same thing. And for me, I always want to make that statement that I'm a Christian, I'm a daughter of Zion, I'm a daughter of God. And so I want that to be evident in everything that I find myself. And so that is something that I can say regarding the influencing. And then a bit of advice, I would also say that life is really it's not easy. When you began, you talked about how adulthood is adulting. And I tell you, it's really adulting. At a point you even want to give up. You even want to give up. But I want to say that the succeeding in life, it doesn't mean there was an absence of fear. Having success, going through victory, being named Ghana's most beautiful, it doesn't mean that I did not fail at a point or I did not waver a bit in my faith. I mean, all of those happened. At a point, you have that fear. You would want to slide back. But I would say that even in those times, you have to be fierce and then go for what you want. Because if you don't go, trust me, there is somebody who is doing it. And so you definitely have to be there to do it. And you have no idea you have been brought to this world for a purpose. Your existence is not just for you to exist, but for you to do something to be part of the ecosystem. And so you have to make that statement so that in some years, when you live no more and you just cast down to see your legacy, it will be speaking on your behalf. And so that's a little I can say.
Wow, good, 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 great stuff. And that reminds me of Daniel um, uh, in Babylon, and saying that you standing up for something. I was listening to, I think we just about 2 weeks ago or a week ago, Bridges to Manhood, and we're saying that if you decide to stand for God, God upholds what you already decided to do for Him. So let's say Daniel decided not to defile himself by eating the food coming from the king's table. God upheld that and made him great. And you decided that you were going to be decent, and God upheld, gave you the crown.
Mm.
And I think when other PKs or whoever you are, wherever you are, a child of God, if you are not going to do what the world does, but you are going to do what God wants you to do, and you're going to stand on business, God is going to uphold that and is going to make you great. And I think that is something that it's very important in our time. We don't use the things of the world in order to
Exactly.
influence them, but we use God's principles, God's,
Yeah.
and stand on it. And if faithful enough to stand on it, God definitely shows himself strong. So that's a great stuff. Let's go into one of the things that you're doing. And since when you won the Ghana Most Beautiful, you had a mandate, and we've worked with you, your foundation. You have been doing what the mandate that has been given to you since you won that.
Okay, thank you. And so, yeah, like you rightly said, the mandate. And so you are after the pageantry with a crown, even without a crown, you're supposed to, do a social project to support society. And so for me, I championed prisons reform that I used to call it Agenda Brief, or now the Sarfoa project, the key project. And so it's basically how we can look at the rehabilitation and the reintegration process of these inmates when they come back into society. And I still feel its relevance is so much important in the society because most of the times we tag these people as a sinners, or they since they are incarcerated, they are the outcasts and all of that. But truth be told, there are some people who need redemption. There are some people who need transformation. There are some who really do not need, they don't have to be there. They didn't have to be there. Some, one thing led to another, and then they found themselves there. Some is as a result of poverty. Some it's as a result of they not having a skill. Some is a lot of things. There are a lot of things involved when you enter into this sector. And I was so happy when I saw my church, the Church of Pentecost, doing that. They inspired me in the first place to do that. And those were some of the reasons I considered to be part of the pageantry, because then I realized that you would push an agenda, a social project that you want to do. So this was another way I could speak to these prisons reforms for people to understand. Because I remember in 2021, that was when the church had built, it's either 2020 to 2021 or within the 2021. That was when the church built the Iraq prisons, and it came on social media, and people were like, it had a big backlash. People were insulting the church. Why are you spending the money that your church people have paid to you on prisoners and all of that? It had a backdrop. So that was my backdrop. I was like, no, it looks like people really don't understand um, what it means to cater for prisoners, and it's really biblical. If you go to Hebrews 13:3, it tells you, it said, have compassion over the people who are incarcerated, people who are in the prisons. Even at a point in Revelations, it was like, when I was sick, you did not come to me. When I was in the prisons, you did not come and look for me. The likes of Paul, the likes of Silas, the likes of Peter, they've all been in jail. they've all been in the prisons before. Even Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, let's not go far. Even there are a lot of icons in the world who had to be in jail to come out stronger and better to fight for our independence. And so I always say that I think it's not a death sentence to be in the prisons, even though we don't preach that everyone should go to the prisons or people, it's okay for you to go to the prisons. But it's the aftermath, how we are able to treat these people and get them back on track because we have a mandate as humanity to ensure
Yeah.
that there is sanity. And so it's a lot of things in the industry, but we wanted to champion and we are still championing the whole point of the rehabilitation, taking a closer look at what it entails. When Dave mentioned the outreaches that we did with Image Ghana, looking at the health aspect, you realize that it was poor because these people spend 2 years, a year, some even some months, and they come back to society. So if they had contracted any disease, any illness, any virus, it is a society that they are bringing to. So eventually we are all at risk. And so I saw it as a very important thing to ensure that whilst they are there, they have their health needs are also catered for. And Image Ghana did absolutely well, helping us reach the unreachable. And so God bless Image Ghana. A big shout out to them. We still have some more to do this year, and I'm glad, or probably the subsequent years. So now we are still looking at the reintegration aspect. We are looking forward to do, and it's something that we are going to do come December, looking at how we can build a skill for some of the inmates. They already do it in some parts of the facilities, but sometimes they lack equipment. They don't have the technical skill to do that, to uphold that, and it becomes difficult upon speaking with some of the officers. And so we are hoping to organize them and then start from the female side, train them, help them with some capital to start whatever business that they want to start, follow up and ensure that at least they are back on track and then doing better than they were before. So basically, that is something little about it. The Sarfoa Foundation is championing over the years till now.
That's amazing stuff.
Great stuff. I love philanthropy, and
It is.
we'll talk more on this maybe another time. Or guys, you see there are great things coming up. Great.
Yes.
So just be on the lookout and then support us when we need it. You can go to Miss Sarfoa's Instagram, follow her, follow the work that she does, and in any way, shape, or form support, make sure you support. We'll put her link in her in our description. Yeah, that's great. Well, before we wrap up, let us talk
Yeah.
family life. You are a missus right now. Did you guys just celebrate your 1 year anniversary?
1 year anniversary. The ring, the ring.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Bling bling.
Baby.
It's ringing.
You know, one funny thing, right? So let me tell you
That's
how
right.
I was actually
Yeah.
shocked. So when what what happened. My boss, right, Dr. Abuaje, Dr. Doye, with Image, he was there one time. He was like, "Otuo, hey, Ghana's most beautiful, no, a Pentecost girl. Me, let you connect in here, get here, so." Was what who did. I was like, "Oh, sir," and I'm saying, "Oh, yeah." So we're just back and forth, and then we hit up Seth. See on our manager. Oh yeah, ah,
Yeah.
interview. Yeah, interview. Yeah, they have YP podcast. You know what? Not YP podcast. It was a Instagram live.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and then we did the fairs in
The live.
yeah, and then you did the thing at one of the prisons. I forgot where it was,
In
but
New Jersey.
yeah, that was New Jersey. But then you did a fair. We did a fair with Sarfoa Foundation in another
Yeah.
in Ghana.
In Ghana, yeah.
So we had connected, and then we were just. So one day I'm there, and then all of a sudden I get a message, and it was the save the dates. I'm like, "Hey, manager." I didn't know manager and the managee.
This is kingdom business.
It's not business. was the most happiest. I was just laughing, and I just sent it to Dr. Doya. No, Dr. Doya was like, "Oh my god!" Well,
The manager has managed it. So I'm managing it now.
Clapping for hubby. Why are there?
He's a smart
Oh
guy.
my
He's a smart guy.
goodness.
Yeah. So can you tell us
Yes.
about how you guys met and all?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how marriage is. I was 1 year being married.
All right. So married life is beautiful, and initially, upon speaking to people, they will tell you that at a point you grow fond of each other, you are even tired of each other, especially after the 1 year or even during. It depends, because I've seen some people divorce even in their 1 year, and I'm like, okay, so I'm just hoping to see how things lay out. And it looks like, for me, it looks like we just married yesterday. It's been fun, and I got to know him even before the GMB days. And so we were, should I say, courting. He was my beloved. Don't say, yeah, no, son, come on. A Christopher, you can't beloved, and cast our boyfriend and girlfriend. So at that time, he was my beloved, and so we were talking. We were talking and talking about life and how we wanted our marriage to be like, and all of that. And so for me, I think we've built the friendship over the years, and we have chalked many successes and failures together. And so it's like we feel we are partners and we are doing this together. And you know, a manager, but he's now a husband and still managing. And see, I think it's lovely. Married life is beautiful.
Aw. It's giving Prince Charming and Cinderella.
Singalela. And yes, Singalela.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. We love to hear that. We love to hear that. They guys are they're so cute. They're so
They
cute together.
are.
Yeah, and bless God for.
And so are you, Dave. We have seen you too.
Oh,
Oh, where?
Mrs. Entry, this is your shout out.
Also, so when you 1 year.
Mrs. Entry, this is your shout out.
This is actually. Oh, why you? Why is Haggard? Oh, why you?
More pressure.
Shout out to her.
Yeah.
More pressure. Oh, hey. Nice.
But anyways, thank you very much for spending your hour with us. We know you're a busy lady. You gotta go. You gotta go do some of the great work that you're doing. And we know we're definitely a couple when we pull up in Ghana. But thank you for coming on the PK podcast. And viewers, we know that you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe, comment, like, share it with your family. Tell mom, tell dad that Ghana was beautiful. It's on PK podcast. All right, fam. Thank you for doing this. It's a wrap. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Bye. Let's meet again. And I'm hosting you all in Ghana when you come. So please, I'm waiting for you, okay?
Yes. We'll be turning up.
All right.
All right. And
take care. Bye-bye. And I'm hosting you all in